This episode is brought to you by the award-winning Coco, starring Jodie Whittaker and Megan McGarvey. Two sisters bumble their way into a sweet chocolate revenge. Now streaming on Amazon, Tubi, and Google Play Movies and TV. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Live Your Dreams podcast, a show that explores the incredible journeys of individuals who have fearlessly pursued their dreams and transformed not only their own lives, but the lives of others around them. I'm your host, Joe Gawalis, alongside my fantastic co-host,
Chris Victor.
And today we have a truly, truly inspiring guest with us, a world-renowned expert in health and wellness, an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and New York Times best-selling author, Dr. Kellyann. Welcome to the show. You are fantastic and a motivation to all of us.
Woohoo! I'm so excited to be here. I love the vibe of the show already, and you have some fly background there, my friends. I feel like I'm on a movie set.
Well, we always like to have nice things around us, and we always surround ourselves with our entertainment logos and our posters. We're very proud of all the fine people we work with. We have a great team around us, like I'm sure you do yourself. It's all about the people you work with.
I mean, your backdrop is beautiful. Your backdrop is beautiful,
Hey,
Kelly.
I'm a huge fan of Manhattan. I love New York. I do. I love it, and I don't tire of it. And I love the vibe because I feel like there's like certain energy meccas in the world, and despite what you read about it or what you may think the vibe is just a different kind of vibe that is very inspiring, gives you energy and pushes you forward, makes you want to do more, be more, everything. So I love this. I get the same kind of vibe when I'm in Los Angeles a lot of times. I feel like it's an energy mecca. And there's certain places I go that I feel this. I got the same vibe. I was just in Paris, and I got the same vibe in Paris. It's like a city of creating. It's like you're literally creating stuff with a paintbrush, and your mind, you manifesting stuff. And I feel that here. I feel like there's a lot of that going on here. I feel like it's going on in Los Angeles. I feel like it's going on in Paris, and there's other places I can mention, but there's certain places I feel that vibe, and I definitely feel it here.
And when I don't have the vibe like New York or Los Angeles, and I go to Florida, I take your bone broth with me to get the energy I need.
It's funny because there's a place I go in Florida, and they have this, it's very small, it's non-commercialized, and they have this little tiny boutique in there, like a little grocery store. That's something that you would see, like it's so off the beaten path and like a little tiny country store. I love it. But they carry my bone broth, and even in Florida when it's hot, the people still love it. They still love it.
It's great.
No, that's fantastic news. And, you're absolutely right, because a lot of people have to realize to be an entrepreneur or a creative, you need to be in an area of the right energy a lot. You want to surround yourself with the type of people, the type of vibe of the city you're in. All this stuff makes a huge difference. Some people think it doesn't, and they're usually closed off, and they're kind of closed-minded. I agree with you 100%. Your location, where you are, the people you surround yourself with does 100% impact results in the end.
You know why? Because it's like, I feel like wherever you are and wherever you spend a lot of time, it's almost like it's your manifestation vessel, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to create. I knew that I wanted to create something extraordinary. And I came from a small town in Pennsylvania. I went to school in the city, and I lived in London for quite some time. So I'm very I like to walk everywhere. I'm just very city driven. But what the thing about a city, though, as much as you love it, you always have to have an escape hatch. And so I still keep, place that I come from a small town in Pennsylvania. But I knew, as much as I love going back there, and I just love to put my hair up in a ponytail, wear Uggs, a muumuu, and makeup. As much as I love it, it's the only place that you can do that, because the minute you walk into New York, it's like chic head to toe. So you need a break from that. So I feel like it's just so important. It was important for me, my next level up, and it could be different for someone else. Someone else's next level up could be moving from New York to a small town. It doesn't matter. It's so subjective. But for me, I felt like my next level up was, okay, I got to permanentize myself in the city, in Manhattan, or somewhere, or be more bi-coastal where you're going, to LA and New York and swinging back and forth and just really getting into that energy of creating. And so that's why I'm here full time, and I love it. And I've been here a long time, and I got the beat.
No, you're absolutely right. And I love that you use the comparison of some people's place maybe leaving that major city. I think that's what everybody needs to do. The first step of any journey is knowing who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you want in your life? And what are you trying to accomplish? Because so many people are kind of just flying blind, and it seems like they never get anywhere. Because again, like you said, it's not all about just big cities. A small town may be the final destination and a place they want to end up, but it's knowing yourself first.
And my father has this saying, and so my father is one of, everyone has their hero. And for me, my hero is my father, because I did, he's a barber, and that was what he did. He never was able to go to school and do a lot of the things that we kind of attached to success. But my father, as a barber, and he went on to be an entrepreneur, and that's where I got my seat in watching what it likes to make things happen. And he taught me so much about what we're talking about. And he always said, Kellyann, the first thing you have to do is learn to know yourself. So know yourself, then be yourself, have the courage to be yourself. And then the final stage, and where everything's going to happen for you, Kellyann, is then love yourself. Know yourself, be yourself, love yourself. And that has been drilled into me my entire childhood. So I took that seriously, and we go through my kind of different phases within those three. And sometimes you don't love yourself so much. Sometimes you feel bad about things. Sometimes not everything you do succeeds. So sometimes you feel like you took a nosedive. So you go back and forth into different, I got to get to know myself again. Well, I'm in a different decade of my life. I'm not who I was 20 years ago. So let me learn again. Who am I? How can I find that a fitting in the world as it is today to be myself again? And then get into that groove and then start loving yourself. So you're always kind of flipping between those channels.
No, I mean, talking about loving yourself, I love what you just said, and that's so perfect. And I think, it might be hard to answer this, but is there any advice you can give to somebody who's kind of taking that first step to say, you know what, I need to be more open into caring about myself? Because a lot of people really are very self-conscious. It's very unfortunate. It's hard to get past that barrier to actually say, you know what, I am worthy of change. I am not the person I am 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So many people live in a cycle of just being this continual person and are almost afraid to break out of that, the habits they have that kind of form their past.
So I'd say weaponize yourself. And the biggest weapon that you can have as an entrepreneur, and no, everyone is so surprised when I say this, the biggest weapon that you can have is to be kind. And when I'm talking about being kind, I'm talking about being kind to yourself, being kind to everyone that you come in contact with, being kind to your body, all of these things. Just take a paradigm approach, a shift, because when you do that and you just really learn to be kind, you'd be surprised that your whole body takes on different energy. And all of these struggles that we have to, like you said, to break out, to get through, it's all about, as entrepreneurs, we want to pierce the stratosphere. And so I am the director of this club in New York. It's called the Global Women's Group of New York City. And I'm the director of this club. And my role is to inspire women and to help them do everything that we're talking about. And they're from all over the world. And the reason why I did this and took this on, because I don't need the extra work. I don't need the marketing prowess. I don't need it to get me into doors. I don't. But I did it for one reason, because I'm in this beautiful building in New York City that's glorious. And you walk in the lobby, and I have to catch myself every once in a while and say, Kellyann, get in check. Get in check. Be present with the building that you're walking into. But then I go home at night and I work all the time, which has been kind of my patterning. And then I look out the window one night and I'm like, well, I think this means I made it. Like, I'm looking out this window and I think this means I made it. But why does it feel bad? Why does it not feel, why am I not more stoked? And because it doesn't matter when you're trying to pierce the stratosphere, getting back to your question, no matter what you're trying to do, you have to realize the things that really matter and the things that are going to get you there. And it just always comes back to your kindness changing the vibration that you carry that leads you into communities that help you get stuff done. That's
amazing. I mean, you mentioned a few things looking out your window. That's a dream board for me. I look at that and it inspires me. But when you mentioned about, being kind to other people, I've also noticed as much as I try to be kind to people, if I'm not kind to myself first and foremost, if I don't love myself, I really can't truly love others fully. There's a disconnect.
You hear that all the time, Obi. Be kind. It sounds like so, I don't know. It sounds like it's just one of those things that people hear and they hear it so much. Oh, you got to love yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. But there's certain things that people say that you really have to kind of put strategy to. If you have to just grab it in the air when someone says it. Like you really have to feel that, because being kind to yourself means like getting ready for the battle. Because when you're kind to yourself and you go through all these different phases, because let's face it, a business, building an empire is the biggest personal development project you will ever have. If you want to learn about yourself, you want to know yourself, you want to figure out what you do when the wind smacks you in the face, when you don't expect it, which it will. I guarantee you it will, and it's going to do it over and over and over again. How you react, how you treat their team, there really tells on who you really are. I feel like it's the best way. And so I've learned so much in doing this so long that now I just sit back and I watch someone's operating system. Sit back and I watch and I feel. And I know within time that alignment, whether I have it or not, it's going to reveal itself. And I always say that I have one really, really bad habit. You want to know what it is?
Love to.
It's not smoking. It's not drinking. It's not like the normal, like gambling. It's not the normal bad habits we think of. But there's other like mental bad habits I feel like we have. Like, maybe your bad habit is when you're depressed, you just allow yourself to be stuck too long and you can't get out of it. Like, you have to train yourself, like when we get depressed, to pull yourself out of it. But my bad habit is that I have trained myself, and I think it came from my father, and I tell him he gave me a disease. We laugh. I can only see the good in people. I see the good. I see the good. It's where I go. And it's been like a blessing and a curse. It's been a blessing and a curse, because when you start going up, it's a very different vibrational field as you start to rise up, and you have to realize people are starting to swoon, and they're starting to swoon, and they're starting to swoon, and you have to learn to be more and more protective. And it's hard for me, and this is like my biggest struggle. This is my thing to overcome, because I sit and I watch and I pay attention to alignment, I pay attention to someone's operating system and all these things. But at the end of the day, regardless of all that, I am looking for the good. I'm looking for the good. It's like you have a part of your brain. It's called the reticular activating system. This is how this works. If you lose your keys, the worst thing you can say is, I can't find my keys, can't find my keys, can't find my keys. Because you're training your brain. Your little brain literally is triggering you not to find it. This is science. This isn't woo-woo. This is how your body is designed. So you got to be really, really careful of all of that. So what you put out there, and what you say, and you just got to be very careful about what you do. And so for me, my reticular activating system is always searching for good. It's like I'm the bionic woman, scanning for good. And so I feel like sometimes that allows me to maybe not have that internal doorman that I need, that says, that self-talk that says, you probably shouldn't let this person in your life. Maybe you should, I don't pay attention to that soon and quick enough. And it's very valuable as you're building a business. And that, or you let them in, and then you have a bad habit of saying, well, they did this because of this. Well, they're going through something. Well, what it's really not that. It's really more that they're revealing that maybe they're not a nice person. Maybe they don't have good intentions, because not everybody does. And that's so difficult for my reticular activating system to key in on. So that's been my revelation in business. That's what I've learned about myself through this personal development program of life, of business life, that it's not, your person next to you is not always good. They're not always what you tell yourself.
No. That is so powerful to say. And I think every entrepreneur, every person in life, even in relationships, that goes with everything. That is so powerful to be able to take a look and really take a real inventory, a personal inventory of who the people are around you, because you're absolutely right. I've seen it happen. You let the wrong person in the door and all of a sudden they're lighting a fire in your kitchen when you turn around, and that gets dangerous real quick in a business. Everything can fall apart in 2 seconds if you let that continue to happen.
And the thing is that it's super easy to let people in your life, but try to let them out. Try to get them out. Yeah. I dare you.
Like trying to get a fly out of your home.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's something I'm so glad that you said that, because I think a lot of people, especially people that have good empathy, a good heart, and they're trying to find the good, you make that mistake a lot. And again, I think it's great that you do have that and you try to find the good in people, but you're absolutely right. That could be very, dangerous in the long run if you continue to do that, or anybody continues to do that in any situation.
Yeah, I wanted to just say on the looking for the seed, the positive and everything. I was listening to Napoleon Hill. It goes back to early 1900s. He talks about in any type of situation, you're looking for the seed, the benefit. What's right in the situation, no matter how bad it seems. You're still looking for what happened, what's to learn from that.
And I think that's different. I think looking at it like, what can I learn from this, is different than allowing something or someone to go on longer than it should, or letting people in because you're making excuses for them as to why they should be in your orbit, or that they're good people when perhaps they're not. So I'm all about giving other chances, helping. I'm so focused on what can I do to help this person that is in my orbit right now? What can I do to help them? What can I do to elevate them? What is it that I can do? And sometimes they're not where they want to be because they may not have the attitude. They may not have the intestinal fortitude. They may not have the mental acuity or awareness or the mental health. Maybe that's why they're not where they want to be. And so I step back now, and I don't encourage, you should be an entrepreneur. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not everyone should. You have to be able to withstand massive amounts of pressure. You have to be able to handle massive amounts of pressure. I am very lucky. I can. Not everyone can.
Yeah. It is quite scary. You're 100% right, because people ask those questions all the time. Just sending in questions to the show. You're a young entrepreneur, want to start this up. What's for me? I said, look, I don't even know why you want to get into this unless you really have every single, criteria as a person in your natural background of who you are to follow it. I would suggest not getting into it if it's something you're not going to pursue 100% and you have the right, not even skill sets, it's the right attitude, like you said, the right mental attitude, the right fortitude to move forward. Those are so many important things people don't look at. You may be an amazing, accountant, you might be an amazing pharmacist. It doesn't mean you should go open a business about that you might not have any of those skill sets or even the right attitude required, and you're going to end up hating it anyway and just, have a failed small business eventually.
Yeah, and so a lot of people that are creatives, and I am definitely a creative, and they think, they want to start this business. And one of the questions I always say, who is your operations? Who is going to be operational for you? Who is going to be the doer? Vision is great. And, my company was founded on a vision. I want to get bone broth in the hands of everyone across America. And after I do that, I want to get it in the hands of everyone globally. And how am I going to do that? Let's reverse engineer how I'm going to do that. It was all based on a vision. Mm. You didn't think I didn't have to create a New York Times bestselling book. I didn't have to create a PBS special. I didn't have to create products, find people to do, and then sell it to someone that can help me scale it and really make it happen, because I can only do so much. I don't have the intellect to scale a business. I don't have it. I don't know how to do it. It's not what I do. I got the business to a certain point, and then after that juncture, you have to be able to say, okay, I got the mother lode here. This is a beautiful, gorgeous thing that I can hand to somebody that will know then what to do with it. It's like, the mom wants to look over their kid when it's time to let them go. And, I've had 2 children. They're both they're both out of the house now. I've got one that's graduating from the Coast Guard Academy in May. And I've got another one who's just started college this year in September. And I know what it's like to all of a sudden, have to hand something off that you created, that you worked really hard to get to be something beautiful, and hand it off. So if you haven't done that yet as an entrepreneur, it's the best analogy I can give is like your children. It's that painful, like to have to do that. But you also have to understand that that is for the greater good. It's for the greater good. So I work just as much now as I ever did before when it was just me. I work just as, because we're all this team that's equally committed with our fingerprints in this to make this work. We all want to work together. And I got super lucky because I transferred my company, exited my company. I'd say exit 1, because this is just the first exit. I would say I was very lucky because I got a really outrageously good team. And that's what I hope for everyone, because that's what's really when we talk about piercing the stratosphere, that's what's really going to do it, is that team behind you.
You are 100% right, especially the entrepreneurs that are starting out. I think people are so afraid to give up what they started to create, and they end up just doing everything. And now you spread yourself so thin, you're kind of like failing sideways because you don't have enough resources. One person cannot do everything. It is impossible, right? I mean, it's really, you will just continue that forever. And so many people do. You can't scale like you did. Look what you created. Look how you're bringing this bone broth all over the world. I mean, you have scaled huge. I mean, it's very impressive what you've done. If you were just trying to market this yourself, maybe, you have a little small pocket, but you're not getting past that. There's no way one person could handle all that. It's impossible.
I hope everyone's hearing that. I hope everyone's hearing that, because that's how we get we are our own worst enemy. We get in our own way. And a lot of it comes from, think about the emotions, why that's happening. It's because it's ego.
Yeah.
Got to get out of that ego. I mean, I'm way more prolific, or way more on the way to becoming a household name now, more than I ever could have done with just DKA. Now I'm just DKA plus Veil, and that operating system behind me. I said you always have to have an operating system. That operating system behind me is just doing this, taking you up and up and up. And you have to be able to sit back and let other people make decisions. And, my essence, my fingerprint still being in everything makes it work. And like I said, I'm working harder now than I probably did before, but the line of sight is so much clearer now. And that's the difference. It's the line of sight. It's like, okay, how can we get EBITDA strong? How can we get profit margin strong? Who are the people that are really good at that? What kind of portfolio will this company fit really beautifully in? Who doesn't have, this is all the things, we were talking about. You have to realize, when you start a business, you are the CEO, you are the CMO, you are the COO, and the list goes on and on. You're the CFO, which is the scariest part.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part when you're talking about money. It's the scariest part. Because if you don't know what to do with that money, and you're going out and you're getting loans and you're doing this, and you're going to the street, you're getting street money from, Wall Street and all this stuff, and you don't know what to do with that money, you are going to find out real quick what that wind on the face feels like.
2 things I heard about delegating out to others as well to help grow your business and make it sustainable, as well as you mentioned lucky. And then I heard this phrase, luck favors the prepared. So you have been preparing. So, that luck happens when you're prepared. So comes.
Oh yeah. I had to be very prepared to make the company attractive to somebody to say, okay, we're going to believe in her.
Yeah.
We're going to believe in her enough that, we're going to put our time, our resources, and our life, a good chunk of our life, into getting, her and us to the next level. There definitely has to be massive preparation to make that happen.
I'm so glad you phrased it that way, because people don't realize when people are supporting an up-and-coming business, they are giving their lives to that business, because it's a huge risk, right? I mean, you know it. I mean, they're not just working for some major corporation where they know it's going to work out. These are also people that are willing to take a risk with you because they believe in your vision and the operating team you put behind it. So you shouldn't take that lightly, and make sure you have the right people that are willing to do that.
Oh my gosh. It's just, you're talking about your life, and You're talking about something, for me, I've been doing this so many years. So if I put all the money that I made before I started this, before I went CPG or I went direct to consumer, if you take all the money that you put in from the time you get out of college into your business, okay, which was a huge risk. I have a nickname, by the way. My nickname is Chance. Because, for real. And the reason why the people that are the closest, they call me Chance, is because, do you realize, and this is what I'm talking about, it may not be for everyone because the intestinal fortitude it takes is so huge. So imagine, here you are, you go to school for longer than most people go, right? Bachelor's, master's, 2 doctorates, that's what I have. And plus I have a bunch of certifications. So I'm going to school for a long period of time. So you do that and you're spending a ton more than most people spend. You are in a gross anatomy lab smelling like cadavers for 2 years. You're doing where everybody else is doing fun stuff in the summer. You're taking, organic, inorganic, biochemistry, physics, because it's so hard that you don't want to, I'm like, I'm going to isolate this and I'm going to take it in the summer because I can't take it with all the other classes. This is too massive and you have a lab and recitation and blah, blah, blah. So you go through all this. Then you get out and you start practicing. And so you take all of that money that you earned, all of it, and you say, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to put it into the bone broth business. I'm going to take every dime I made. Oh, and by the way, when the crap hits the fan and you need money, let's take money out of my house. Oh, by the way, how are we going to pay the employees this month? You know what? I'm going to have to charge all my cars up to the limit. Guys, I've done all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, we don't have any income coming in right now, but we got to get a loan somehow because we got to float this a little longer. So we need a bridge loan. So let's get a bridge loan going. Let's get a line of credit going. Imagine doing this when you are believing in yourself enough to know that the money is going to be over here. The money is going to be over here. Keep doing what you're doing. The money's over here. Keep going. Keep going. And so that, that's what it takes sometimes. That there's other people that have other stories. But most of the stories I hear are not too far off from mine. Where it is. So can you sleep at night knowing that you're doing this? Can you raise your kids to the standard you want to raise them when you're going through this? And so these are, this is, and this is, if you want to have like a mom and pop shop, there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
Shame. You want to, develop this and say, okay, it brings in 300 a year. Let's just pool the 300. We'll keep it going. We'll keep innovating. We'll keep it strong. And we're going to just keep pulling that. We're going to have a great life. I mean, there's 2 ways you can go with this. That's awesome. That's great. Kudos. I respect you. You got your happiness down. You know your happiness code. Awesome. But for somebody that says, I want to go here. I want to just see. I want to see what I've got. I want to go here. Oftentimes it takes intestinal fortitude that's pretty insane.
You are 100% right. And that was so well said because, again, I love what you said at the end. There is nothing wrong with having a very respectful mom and pop store or a nice operation. It's a small business and you're making a living and you have a good family. That is great. And that is honorable and respectable. And that is 100% fantastic. But if you want to go to that tier of like achieving worldwide recognition or having a major distribution deal on something, you do have to sacrifice. And you're absolutely right. That takes a lot because I've seen it too. I've seen people I've been in business with. You seem like it's such a minuscule amount or something where you go, are you sure you should be doing this? Because you seem very uncomfortable with something that, if you're in this scenario right now and you're getting nervous, maybe this is not for you and you should be leaving now because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And a lot of people don't realize that. It takes a lot of time before an entrepreneur at that level really starts to pay off. And you are going to have to take those hits. And you said the wind's going to hit you in the face over and over and over again. And you have to be willing to push through it. Very difficult to do.
Very difficult to do. And I think it's like when I teach people about dieting, and I always say, if they want to transform, and I say, listen, you're going to have to define and understand your own personal plate by saying, am I weak because this diet isn't right for me? Am I weak because I'm not understanding carbs? I'm not understanding how to do, am I bonking? Am I bonking because my body is now turning over to a different type of energy source? It's going from burning carbs to burning fat. So am I feeling weak and tired and want to kick everything and everyone because of that? Am I feeling that because I don't understand energy carbs and when to eat them? Am I not eating enough carbs, in other words? So I always say, like, you have to ask yourself, it's a sixth thing in business. You have these defining moments in business and you have to ask yourself, am I feeling nervous and afraid and everything because I'm going into a new venture? Because I am going into uncharted waters? Am I nervous? Am I sad? Can I not sleep because of that? Or is this really affecting my constitution? It's really affecting me. Am I putting myself into a disease state and worrying about this and sleeping? Is it going to get worse? Am I losing weight? Am I losing hair? Am I losing sleep? Am I having tachycardia, anxiety? Am I on medication now that I wasn't on before? Like, you have to assess these things. Like, is this the chance and the risk and that feeling that you feel alive? Like, okay, so I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling this, but this is how I'm feeling alive doing this. This is what I'm saying. You're alive, you're taking risks, but you're doing your vision and it feels good. Or is it your body saying, whoa, hold on. Whoa, Nelly, hold on. Pull it back, baby. Pull it back. Can you do this on a less scale, lower scale? I think you need structure and system. I don't know. And I want to redefine that. It is okay if you were the person that says, I need structure. I need system. I cannot create it I can't sit in there with a blank slate every day and have to create all this stuff and have to create, standard operating procedures for the team. I can't. You're that type of person that brings you so much duress and so much stress, and you have to look at metrics. I call it a dashboard, and you have to be able to understand, okay, someone's throwing something in their shopping cart. Okay. Oh, but then they abandon the cart. Oh, okay. So the lifetime value of this customer is this. Okay. If you're not the type of person who doesn't want to understand the psychogenic marketing basis of your base, your avatar, your people, if you're not the type of person who cannot digest or integrate all that information, I hope then you're at a position where you can hire someone from the get who knows this, because I didn't have the money at first to hire people to do this. Every consultant you hire, it's 10,000, 10,000, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20. Everybody is 10 or 20,000. Yeah. I didn't have that money when I was starting out. So what I'm saying is, can you do that? Can you understand what you're really doing here when you're saying, I want to go online? Are you really willing to address all of those things?
So it's like when having a baby. You have to take care of it once it's born. You can't just let it go. So it's with films, it's at least a year turnaround. With any project you embark on, it's at least a year, if not the lifetime journey.
Oh yeah.
No, 100%. And I think that's what people really needed to hear. And again, what you said at the beginning, it comes back down to knowing yourself at the end of the day. Knowing, do you have that constitution to push through? Do you have it? And that's something you have to really look at. It's hard to take a realistic evaluation of yourself sometimes. So when you're going to start an endeavor like a new business, you better know what you're getting into and you better know yourself really well, because why would you start something if it's going to make you miserable? That's what I don't understand, right? I mean, why walk through the fire if you can't handle it? Why do something you don't want to do? It just doesn't make any sense, because it's not like, as entrepreneurs, everybody thinks it's a get-rich-quick scheme. You may not see money coming in for a very long time, especially when you're running the business. You're really the last one to get it. You have to get your employees paid. You have to get people operational. I mean, you are taking so many hits for such a long time. If you're not passionate, you can't handle it. I can't see why, because it's actually less freedom than working a regular job. In some ways, it's actually a little bit less, and you're more tied to it than if you had a 9-to-5 job.
Well, if you don't know that, then somebody is surely going to tell you. That is what my promise to you is. If you don't go in there and you are not the leader, you do not walk in there like a leader, and you are not learning and progressing and innovating and feeling energy doing that. It's, people are casing that out. It's like, how much energy do you have? How much energy are you bringing to this? If you are not bringing all of that, it is noticed so quickly. And when you don't have people who are believing in you around you, it's very difficult to build.
No, you're right. Well, no one's going to follow somebody that's out there like some kind of madman on their own, just doing something, trying to get lucky, throwing spaghetti at the wall. That doesn't happen. People will not follow you, but they do follow an organized leader that actually has an agenda and stands behind what they say. I think the key, like you said, if you stand behind what you say, you're out there in front taking the hits, being willing to do that and showcasing where you're going to end up. I think the right people will be attracted to you and you have a chance. And it's still a chance just to form a team. It's still not a guarantee. May still very much fail. There's a huge percentage chance after all those things align correctly that anything can happen and you may still lose at the end of the day. That says, do you have that fortitude to move forward knowing that? That's why you have that great nickname Chance, because it's true. And it is a big chance and you have to take one to be willing to do this.
Well, I feel like this is a hard thing. I was interviewed for a magazine and they asked me, like, what would something I would tell an entrepreneur? And I thought, this is my whole message is about positivity, spreading joy, positivity, kindness. That embodies everything about the DKA brand. And so this may not sound aligned with that, but it's a hard truth that I feel that needs to be said. So people will come to me, particularly these women in this women's group who are looking to me for leadership. Okay, Dr. Kellyann, this is, I built this. This is, what do you think about this? I think passion is beautiful. I think that passion is the best oxytocin, the best serotonin, the best hormones that can flood us. It makes us feel so good. It's waking up with a purpose. But your business has to make sense on paper. I know it hurts. I know it hurts, but it is just the truth, because there are a million things. If you are the type of person, and I think the best thing that I see is when I watch Shark Tank. I've rarely missed any of them. That's where I started learning so much years ago when I started watching the show years and years ago. And I see that, I can see when I'm looking at the sharks and they're giving advice, and I thought, I can see it. I can see when they're trying to say, this is not an idea that's going to fly. And here you have somebody standing in front of you that's made it so far as to get on a big national hit show. Sure. And, they've got they've spent, I put $250,000 of my own money in, and they've got these schematics and all this beautiful presentation. And I hear from the sharks what they're saying. They don't always come around and say is, your business isn't feasibility. There's a feasibility factor that you have to assess. You have to assess a feasibility. You don't have to do a big business plan and all of that. I am not one that says that needs to be done, but you definitely there's some things that you have to note, and you have to really be, talk to the right people, get in the right hands, go to the right people to find out, is this really, or do A/B testing or whatever it is that you can do, but find out how feasible and what is the market desire for your vision.
You're absolutely right. And again, it comes with that, entrepreneurs are passionate and they have to have that kind of insane drive and that blind drive at times, but you have to take those blinders off quickly and really assess yourself right at the beginning. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs at the beginning make those mistakes, when you're young and you're starting out, because you have to have a certain kind of drive and self-belief to even pursue this in the first place. Well, you're not going to get that far if that's your end result and you're really not trying to, really assess what's going on, like you said. So important.
Hey, they say love is blind. Love is blind, and that's great. But it's like, oh, you love me, you love my work. Great, sign here.
Yeah. I love the passion and the love, for what you're doing, but you really do have to, like any other business, you have to take inventory. What's selling, what's not selling. You have to do the math and say, does this work out? I may want to do this, but should I do it? It may not be the best thing for me and my company.
No, you're right. And should I do it is such an important thing as an entrepreneur and as a leader in that position, because there's times you want to do something and you love it. It's everything your past has been telling you to do, but essentially you're steering your caravan right off the cliff. You're taking everybody that believed in you and you're just driving them into a terrible situation, because people have to realize, if you are self-employed and it's just you and you want to take a risk, hey, if you have that opportunity to do that and you're not affecting anybody else, you want to, roll the dice and go for the grand slam. If that's you, go for it. But when you have people that are in your employ that have children and lives, you cannot be that reckless and just have this kind of total abandonment of what happens to everybody else, because it's going to affect tons of people that did believe in you. And then these people flush their lives down the toilet because you just said, hey, I'm just going to take a crazy gamble. but now their lives are ruined for, X amount of years afterwards.
So it's about, and I guess the analogy to say is there's good risk and bad risk. In other words, if you're in a company and you're not a money person and you're not a CFO, chief financial officer, and you don't have a chief financial officer on board with you, and you are taking all this money, you're saying, oh, I know this business can grow and I can convince other people to believe in me and that they'll know it's going to grow. And that may be true. There may be some spec, there may be some viability there. So you get money, and then that's a bad risk. Bad risk. A bad risk is, okay, now I got a bunch of street money. Now I have no idea what to do with it. That's a bad risk versus someone like, I'll give myself as an example, who said, okay, I need money to scale this business. I cannot go into retail without millions and millions of dollars. I not go in there with proper marketing, so I know what I have to do to get that. So my risk is going to be to get partners that are part of the business. There are different type of partners. I don't want to just get money, because that's not going to solve my problem. It's still going to be me making decisions that I don't have the acumen to make. So let me get strategic partners, not just money, but strategic partners who can walk me through this and use I'm handing you something really beautiful. And in turn, you know what to do with that beautiful thing. So it's just so there's smart risk and then there's reckless risk.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think so many people are going into most startup companies with these reckless risk ideas. And like you said, I think it's because they're not willing to step away and find the right strategic partnerships. And and again, like you said at the beginning, I think a lot of it is ego or mistrust or unwilling to actually understand you have to delegate your work out, because if you want to scale, you can't handle everything on your own. I've never seen a major corporation or business above, a mom and pop store that works like that. So, if you want to get to that next level, you better learn to start partnering up with people real quick.
Yeah, stay in your unique ability. So that's the beautiful thing about where I am now versus where I was when I started. So my chapter 1, I had to get very comfortable being outside of my unique abilities. Whereas now everything I do is all the things that I'm really good at.
That's great.
That's great.
It's a good place to be. And so let me be the motivation for people watching or listening. Let me be the motivation that when you get to this place of being in your unique ability, it feels so good, because I still want to work. I still want to have and I think, by the way, I think that's why my team is very encouraged, and they're very motivated and all these things, because they see me working very hard. They see me with my fingerprints and everything. And I think that makes a big, big difference. Again, the word is intention.
Yeah.
Come with intention. And so them seeing me fired up gives them intention, puts intention in all of the different, the manufacturing company and product development and marketing and finance and talent and talent coordination and media. And all. Do you realize, like, all across every lane, when there's intention coming from the top, it filters down. So one of the things that I'm very aware of is creating intention, passion, having a lot of passion, smart passion, taking smart risk, having intention in everything that I do. Because sometimes when you're not, when you're in business and you do have strategic partners, sometimes they know things you don't know about marketplace and where it's going and what it's doing. And there has to be a lot of trust in there. And you're not always going to be 100% stoked about the things that you have to do. Sorry. I mean, I'm in the best place ever because I'm in my unique ability. But sometimes you have to do things that are hard, or that you may not think, oh gosh, this is going to be, but you do it for the greater good of the company. You do it because you know it's a working unit. I'm one. So I have a big quilt. I have a DKA quilt. I'm one square of the quilt, and I'm in the center of the quilt. I'm one of the centerpieces. I know that, but my intention in that quilt has got to filter down to all those other squares.
That's a great analogy. That's a simple analogy to break it down that people can see. It's that visualness of a quilt, how it's built is actually perfect. And, we saw it firsthand. Now, we only dealt with your personal staff that directly would communicate with you, but their attention to detail and how they communicated, you can tell that the individuals that you surround yourself with, even in your personal staff, that's what we dealt with, were so attentive and cared about what was going on. They were fantastic. I was very impressed just with how they communicated. And that's great that you even have people like that around you all the time. You can tell just that small nuance, and there's still very important people around you. But again, that's one facet of your operation. They cared so much, and you can tell why. After speaking with you here, why they would care about their job and what they're doing and making sure that you're put in the best position you can be. You should be very proud because those are some really great people you surround yourself with. They were fantastic.
I'm so proud. And thank you for that call out because I'm very, very fortunate. I will say boldly, I feel like I have the best team in the business. I do. I feel like my company, because we do such progressive forward work, that I feel like we're the best company right now in doing what we do. I feel like we're the best, and I feel like I have the best people. But again, why do you think that when you talk to my team, they were so engaged and like, let's get this right? Because they care about me.
Yeah.
Not the brand. They do. They care about me, and they care about the brand for real, not for show, not for a paycheck, for real. And if you don't think that that doesn't filter down to product, you don't think that doesn't filter down. Trust me when I tell you it does.
No, you're 100% right. You are 100% right. It all starts with the person at the center right there. It is fantastic that you're able to, continually keep these kind of people around you and expand your operation, expand further and further, and continue to develop strong teams. This is so much about who you are, not only as a businesswoman, but your character as a human being. Really so impressive. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Everything's about character, isn't it?
100%. I think, like you said at the beginning, it breaks down to, are you a good person? Are your intentions good? Where's your character? What defines you? Because I think I can almost assume that your staff knows your barometer of measure. They know the actions you will take because you have character, and you're going to work within that realm of character. You're not going to do some outlandish thing in the middle of nowhere and start firing people off or acting like a lunatic. That's not in your nature. So the people who follow you can trust that you're going to be doing the right thing without having to worry that you won't. That's a very, very strong place for your staff to be in.
Yeah, your values are what determine your character. And you value your staff and they value you. I mean, it really starts from the top down. If you're treating them, like you said, being kind, and they're also, rooting the same way I feel about Joe and I as a team, we care as much about each other as well as we do about the company and the product we produce. And that's why I feel the same way about you. It does trickle down. It shows.
It really does. They know it means everything to me. It just means everything to me because it doesn't matter the talent that I carry. It doesn't matter if I don't have a glorious team circling me. It just doesn't matter. And trust me, I've said this before, when you elevate and you start building a global brand, the sharks come out of the water. And you've known me now for an hour, all right, just short of an hour.
Yeah, yes.
Do you think I'm good with sharks?
Yes.
Look at him. He goes, yes.
You're saying they're yes. So which one is it?
No. I think you're intelligent enough to navigate correctly. I think it's kind of it's a catch-22.
But do you think it puts bullet holes in me, or do you think that it's like knives are easily thrown in my back? Because I came from such purity of soul. My father, my mother, this wholesome little Pennsylvania country life. Okay. How hard do you think it is when the sharks come out?
No, I think I can tell. Yeah.
That's why you have to have people that are going to be your barrier from all of that, and that are going to be there and will talk to you about it. And the most valuable thing a team player can have is that they're not going to throw a knife in your back when you're not in the room.
That was so well said, because you're right. If you have the wrong person in your house, that is going to happen continuously and bring you down from within. And you're right. And I'm so glad that, again, talk about the self-confidence you have, that you're able to admit that in front of people that are listening, because it's so important, because they need to learn that no matter how successful you are in business, that when these sharks do come at you and the knives are thrown into your back, it still does hurt for a second. You have to figure out your ways to get around it. Nobody's that callous to say, I don't care about other individuals. And if you do, maybe then you have a little bit of your staff's clearly not going to care about you if you're that kind of person. So if you have the integrity and the character you do, it does hurt when people come at you, no matter how much of a face you have to put on and push forward. The hits still hurt.
What I was going to say is that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because we're all still here.
It really, I really do believe that. What doesn't, taking the knives, every knife I've learned something. Every knife I've learned something. And one of the things that's taught me, going back, since we're coming to a close with this, I want to kind of circle back to my initial statement, which was one of the things that helped me get through all of this is that very, very strict internal mechanism or policy or paradigm that I live in, which is to be kind. You don't know what someone's going through. You just don't know. So someone can throw a knife in my back and I know that the relationship has got to exit. I understand that. I understand all that fallout, but I'm actually, a lot of times I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them because they don't know how to be kind to themselves, or they don't know how to be kind to others. And it's not going to derail me. And in my personal tenet, which is to always be kind. And so you can be kind, but sometimes being kind, you have to know when you have to shut off contact. So you be kind, but don't go and talk about people. Don't cause drama. Don't text people. Don't do all that nonsense. You cut off contact, because that person, that thing, that whatever, that character did not bring goodness to you. They did not help elevate themselves, people around them. You have to cut off contact. And that was the hardest thing for me in business, bar none.
I feel the same way. These relationships that you formed over years, I agree. Like, how it's been my hardest thing is, how can you throw away a relationship that you put so much time into? But then again, there's your answer, right? If they're willing to risk it, then you don't need them in your life, I guess.
And Dr. Kelly, I think that was so important to say to everybody that really, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing, not only just in business, but I think in life, to be able to cut the people that are bringing this negative energy, these vibes into your world, that are trying to basically destroy you from within. And they may not even be conscious of what they're doing themselves. They may just kind of have this destructive tendencies around them because of self-hatred, and they may have their own journey they have to go through. And again, like you said, wish everybody good luck. You're not out there saying bad things about these individuals or trying to bring them down. You let them to go on their journey, hope they get better, and you continue on yours. That was such a well-said way to do it, because it keeps you in the realm of integrity, and you're doing it right, and you're growing your character as well. Because if you try to bring somebody else down, you're really no better than them in the end.
You're not. You just have to understand, people come from a lot of different places. And sometimes we don't think mechanistically about the place that they're in. There's a lot of what we call misplaced envy. People oftentimes are envious of the person that's the pinnacle, the pinnacle, or the pinnacle piece, that they view it as the pinnacle piece. And it's misplaced envy. People get envious, and that is a very dangerous environment for you to be in.
No, you're 100% right. I think, you are such an inspiring businesswoman, individual, entrepreneur. Really, you are a fantastic person. A pleasure to have this conversation with you. Really, just for you to take the time and to talk to our audience, I think they're going to gain so much knowledge in all aspects of life being around you. Really, you are an incredible human being. Thank you so much for really coming on. Is there any last, again, because it is living your dreams, we handed on some great advice, any last positive last segment you want to say, even a sentence to give our audience before we go away? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, the only thing I can say, again, we hear this before, but I want you to really feel this. If you have a vision to do something, to pierce the stratosphere, to make a difference, never give up. There have been 5 or 6 times in my career where I looked so almost foolish that I kept going, but I knew. So when you really know, you cannot give up. You cannot, and there will be times where it looks like the giving up gods have come to take you. Get back up.
So
Well, tears to my eyes with that one, because I feel it's my core. Yeah, I'm not giving up. Thank you.
Well, I don't think there's a better time to end it there. You're bringing tears to Chris's eyes. Dr. Kellyann, you are truly an inspiration across the boards. Really, for the Live Your Dreams podcast, I'm Joe Gawalis.
Where's Victor?
We are so excited to have you on. There will be descriptions below and all of the links on all of our audio podcasts. For those watching on YouTube, you can check the links below to all the information on Dr. Kellyan's products herself. We'll have those listed in the bios of websites. And if anybody has any more questions, you can reach out to us at idcentertainmentllc@gmail.com. We'd be happy to answer any questions or send information about Dr. Kellyann. Thank you again so much for coming on. And as always, everybody, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, because we are the dreamers, and the dreams make the world go round. And us working together, it all makes it a lot more fun. Thank you very much for coming on. We'll see you guys next week.